Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this. I hope you're having an amazing day. So, if you are watching this and not listening to it on Spotify, you're probably looking at me and be like, fucking hell, Siobhan, you look like an absolute state. But I'm not that bad. I'm in my body balance hoodie. It's just my hair, really. I've just got my hair shoved up. It's been one of those weeks. Honestly, I remember looking at my Google Calendar because I organise my whole life on Google Calendar. And I looked at my Google Calendar like this time last Sunday, and I was like, wow, like I don't have much time. So it has been a whirlwind of the week, a whirlwind of a week. It's been very, very busy. Something that has got me through the whole week is like I'm blessed to be busy because obviously I love my job. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. It is too hard to do if you didn't love it. By the way, that is not complaining at all. Like I know the work that I put on myself is due to myself. It's like I want that, and I know that if I wasn't as busy as what I am, I'd fill it up with something else, which is exactly what I used to do when I was a designer as well. Is that I would work a 9 to 5 job, and if I wasn't doing it overtime, then I would come home and go on. I think it was called Pluralsight, is what I used to learn on. Pluralsight, which I used to learn more about, like Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, InDesign, Illustrator. If you don't know, I used to be a senior creative producer, which sounds dead fancy. It wasn't. A senior creative producer, essentially like a designer, but I also did other things like front-end web development, motion graphics, video editing, all that fun stuff. I used to do that back in my previous life. So I used to obviously like work the 9 to 5 and want to do overtime. Then I'd learn things on Pluralsight, and I also did front-end web development courses as well on Code Academy or Pluralsight, because they also did a few coding courses on that as well. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, it's been a busy week this week. As you can tell, I'll probably bumble over my words a lot because I'm just like, I need to chill. So we are one and a half weeks away from going into prep. Well, it's not full on prep. It's like I go into maintenance first because right now I'm in a slight surplus. And then we're going to be going into a maintenance phase, which is lower calories. So I will feel the effects of that. I'll get rid of any water retention. So I will go down in scale weight, but it won't necessarily be body fat. It might be a little bit of body fat, not a huge great deal. So yeah, calories were going down to predicted maintenance and then prep. And like the predicted maintenance is only for 4 weeks as well. On lower calories, cardio goes up slightly, and then go time, which I am very, very excited about. Very, very excited about. But so yeah, a lot of this week has also been doing things preparing myself for prep. So I've been planning on getting in my like nail appointments for before shows, booking my actual tickets for me competing, like my actual places for me to compete. Little bits and bobs like that. Bikini, what is it called now? My appointment to go through my bikini, about what package I'm going to choose for my bikini, so we can have a consultation about that, because obviously she wants to see me in person, see how my body looks like. But I've got to book that, but it's got to be like midway through prep, so it's like I've booked it for like mid-July, which I'm really, really excited about, because I'll be like a little bit leaner and you'll be able to see my shape a lot more. Like I won't be thick skin lean, but you'll be able to see my shape a lot more as well, which will help her in terms of like the shape and the style and all of that jazz for show, which yeah, super excited for. But yeah, other than that, it's just been ticking boxes, doing the do with my training, doing the do with my now even less cardio. I'm on 220 minutes, and my heart rate's very, very low at 120 as well, which I know a lot of people be like, oh, I'd love to have my cardio that low. I don't like it. I find it harder to do less cardio than to do more cardio. Like in terms of harder is in like to drive myself to do it, to prioritize the time for it. And that's because I find it bloody boring. Like I do not like going slow when I'm on the stairmill, when I'm on the treadmill. I don't like it. I prefer like sweating my balls off. Basically, I like it to give me like the increased heart rate. I like it to feel like a little bit tough, because if it doesn't, to me, I'm like, what's the point? Which I know logically, I know there's a reason for it. Like I know the reason why my coach has brought down my cardio that much, and to make it less time. One, like we have like a little bit of CV in there, so we keep my fitness high for like weights, but we've brought it down in terms of heart rate and time, just to make sure it's a tool in our tool belt. So when we do turn up temperature, we have a little bit more of a tool to add in. So my body will adapt to lower cardio, which means that when we go into prep and we add more cardio in, it will be novel exposure for my body, and my body will be like, all right, okay, like this is novel, we're not used to this, we've not adapted to this, and we can again move up from there. Because essentially we don't, in an ideal world, if it happens, it happens. It's one of those, can't control it. Just I do what my coach tells me. Ideally, we don't want to be doing an hour a day cardio. I mean, as I said, if I've got to do it to get stage leave, whatever, like I've got to do it. I'll do what I'm told to do to get in the position that I need to be. But if we can avoid that at all costs, because obviously the more cardio you do, less recovery you have in between resistance training sessions, then we'll do that. But yeah, 1.5 weeks away. I am very, very excited. I just want to cut now. I am struggling with food now. I don't feel my best. Like I know I'm not unhealthy. Like I know I'm not huffing and puffing going downstairs. I just feel heavy, and I don't like the feeling of feeling heavy. And because I am on quite a lot of food at the moment, I'm finding myself be a lot more tired as well, which sounds really weird because I know I was tired at the back end of my photo shoot prep. I was absolutely exhausted. I was like dizzy, like I was pretty much like on low battery mode the whole time. You'll probably see it as I do this podcast throughout my prep. I'll start getting slower and slower. I'll probably bumble on my words a lot more during this podcast as well. And I'll be like, oh fuck, what even tangent I've gone off on. But it's gonna be part and parcel of it. And I think it'll be good to record in real time, which is what I do. I don't overly edit this podcast. I'll get rid of ums and ahs and things like that. But I don't like gaps like I just did then. I'll cut those out, but I don't overly edit it. So I think it'll be really good just to have those like mind fucks basically, where my brain just goes blank and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about, because you'll actually get to see that. And you might also find it interesting as well, because I'm not going to hide any part of my prep isn't, I don't want to glorify prep. It is hard, it isn't healthy, it's something to do for literally about 5 minutes on stage. Like you work your ass off 5 minutes on stage. It's important to me. I do have a reason why I'm doing this. Whether I compete again after this, I don't know. I'm literally just taking it as it comes. I'm enjoying the whole experience. I do think I will prep after this again, because I'm not going to be like, oh no, I'll never do it again. But which is what I did after Pure Elite. And now I'm like, clearly I look like a liar. But to be fair, I've always been like, I'll never say never, but right now no. And then obviously it changed, prepping again. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But right now I do have almost kind of like this is gonna sound so weird, but a lot of people are fueled by different things. I know some of the women on my team are fueled by their kids and setting a good example for their kids. Some people, again, by health reasons, will all have like a really powerful reason why they do this. And I do too. Like in terms of my training, in terms of my nutrition, in terms of my bulk, a lot of my training, a lot of the reason why I do what I do is to lead from the front for my clients, to not so much set the example, because obviously I don't coach competitors, but almost kind of like, if I can do this, you can do your diet. Like if I can be like literally addicted to Papa John's pizza, heavily overweight, bottom of the barrel in terms of like confidence levels was like non-existent, and have the confidence to be like, I'm fucking leaving my 9 to 5, my secure 9 to 5 with 0 clients, fuck it, let's go. If I can then go from like 0 confidence to, yeah, I can do this on my own, like I don't need time to prepare anything like that, I'm going in the deep end. If I can do that, and if I can go from the girl who was addicted to Papa John's pizza to the point where the delivery drivers knew my order and knew my name. Same with desserts as well. Like there was this dessert place that used to deliver at mine called Midnight Delivery. I think it's only open in Liverpool now. But they used to deliver to my house when I lived in St Helens. And again, the guys knew my name, they knew my order. And if I can go from that girl to someone who can step on stage and be thick skin lean, you can follow a lifestyle diet. 100% can follow a lifestyle diet. So yeah, there's that. But in terms of this prep, I'm almost I fuel myself more off spite and fuck yous than I do off positive things. And it's like my first prep, like, I'm not going to go into names or anything, but someone told me that I couldn't do it. Like, someone told me that I couldn't be a senior creative producer, a senior designer, and I was just like, fucking watch me, and I did it. Someone told me that I wouldn't be able to get my pro card, and I was like, fucking watch me do it. In terms of pure elite, I'm not a pro with PCA or I'm not an IFBB pro, but in terms of pure elite, I am a pure elite pro. So they said that I couldn't get that card, and I was like, I'm watch me, and I did. So I'm fueled by that. And then when I did my photo shoot prep, I was almost saying fuck you to myself, because after my prep and after having a terrible reverse out of my last prep with pure elite, I had these self-limiting beliefs. I had these like stories that I told myself that I could never be that person again, that I could never go on stage, that I can never be 100%. Something happened during prep which meant that I could never be as disciplined as that again, because I've been so traumatized by my prep. I told myself that bullshit story, like, to put it bluntly, that absolute bullshit story about the prep, which is just not true. So me doing that photo shoot prep last year, end in October, was almost like a fuck you and watch me to myself, to limiting the belief. So almost turning around and going like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I was proving myself wrong, which was very, very empowering to kind of go, I have fucking control. These negative thoughts do not have control. I'm in the driver's seat. So fucking sit back, watch the show, and watch me prove you wrong. And that's what that photo shoot prep was. In terms of this prep that I'm going into, it's also fueled by fuck yous and spitefulness. Honestly, a lot of people say that, like, if you have like, I don't want to say like a dark side, but if you are like a little like, yeah, let's call it a dark side. It's probably the best way that I can describe it. Like, if you have like that side of you, use it, because that darkness is fucking powerful if you can learn how to use it the right way instead of the wrong way. So for me, like, fuck yous and spite is the most beautiful fuel to make me do something. So in terms of this prep, it's almost one of the things that I know is going to help me through it is I am changing the fucking narrative. So my first prep, the prep itself was really, really, really difficult for a lot of different reasons in terms of my personal life and my professional life. In terms of my career, I was literally just starting out. I had no money when I was prepping, nothing. I was living in savings whilst I was prepping, which was scary and fucking stressful enough, and trying to build a business. The relationship that I was in was breaking down really fucking fast, and in a not nice way as well, in a very, very toxic and horrible way. That was breaking down as well. And then when I competed, no one came to watch me. Like, a posing coach was there. She had loads of other clients there as well. She wasn't just there specifically for me, but no one came to watch me. Like, none of my friends came to watch me. None of my family came to watch me. My partner, which I think it was like 4 days after I competed, we broke up. He didn't come and watch me. Like, I was in an Airbnb on my own. After the show, I went back to the Airbnb on my own. I remember stressing trying to find a taxi because it was like, I think it was like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. The show finished. I can't remember. So if I'm wrong and someone wants to prove me wrong, then just comment down below for the time. I'm sure it was midnight. And then all I wanted was a Papa John's, but at that time Papa John was closed. So I ended up getting like this weird dodgy pizza. But that's all I wanted. And I remember setting up my tripod to take a picture of my own with this pizza and my pro card, and I was proud of getting a pro card, like, don't get me wrong, I was proud of getting these trophies in the background, like, 100%. I don't regret that at all, but it just had a weird bittersweet taste to it. Whereas this time, I know there's gonna be people watching me, I know there's gonna be friends watching me as well, and I know my coach is going to be there. It's going to be a change of narrative, and I'm really, really excited to see that twist of it being a positive twist rather than something, instead of me sat on the kitchen floor on my own. It's going to be nice. I'm excited. So anyway, after that 15-minute intro, about me. Let's jump into the podcast. To be fair, this is actually going to be a quick one, so that 15 minutes probably expanded it a little bit. But yes, welcome to episode 15 of the Built for More podcast. Finally, we're getting into the thick of it. So this podcast is going to be, if I was to go back 10 years ago with baby Siobhan starting her fitness journey from the very beginning, this is what I would do different. I mean, to be fair, there is many things that I would do different. I'd literally start from scratch for it all. The way that I started out is definitely not the way that I would start anyone out on their fitness journey. It was just, I'd pretty much do, I lived in London at the time when I was starting off my fitness journey, and I had a pure gym which was like one tube stop away, so it was about a 10-minute walk, I think. 8 to 10 minute walk. Then I got on the tube to the next tube stop, and then I was at Pure Gym. So it'd take me about like 20 minutes to get to the gym, like walking and tubing it there, which isn't that long, but in London time that is like a day, because you want to be somewhere in 5 minutes. If it takes longer than that, that's too long. So, but yeah, in terms of like, it took about 20 minutes to get there. And then when I got in there, or it might have been on the way back from work, I'd take my gym stuff with me, and on the way back from work I'd nip into the gym, and what I'd do first is I'd do cardio first, which is just, I wouldn't do that from the start now because it just wasn't my priority. But I jump on and do cardio first. Oh, where's this show coming from? I jump on and doing cardio first, and then I'd play in the weight section. I'd have no idea what I was doing. I remember trying to do kickbacks because I saw someone do it on like Instagram. TikTok wasn't a thing back then. I think it was called Musical.ly back then. Actually, I don't even know if even Musical.ly existed back then 10 years ago. But I remember seeing someone do cable kickbacks, so I did some cable kickbacks. I did a little bit on the leg press. I did a little bit on like rows and like pull downs. And the adductor and abduction, like I played on those. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just pissing about leg extension, a seated leg curl. I'd do that. I wouldn't dream on going on a lying leg curl because I didn't want my ass in the air, and I was far too self-conscious of that. But yeah, I just play on the leg kit. I do a little bit of upper body, not a load, and then I just go home. Like, I do some hip thrusts as well. Like, I remember getting like a pump barbell and doing hip thrusts in this like weird corner of the gym. Because again, I'm guessing I probably saw someone on Instagram doing that, but I had no idea what I was doing. So yeah, it's one of those. I used to just like watch content online and like follow it, and then follow it with these random people online and wonder why I wasn't getting results. And then my nutrition was absolute dog shite as well, so I'd wonder why I wasn't getting results when I was like literally eating horrendously. Like I said, addiction to Papa John's, like all the cookies in the world. I'd eat what I wanted. I wouldn't focus on that. Yeah, and then I just didn't really train that effectively as well. So I'd pretty much change the whole of my training structure really. But starting from the beginning, the first thing that I would prioritise if I was starting again is planning an organisation. So when I lived in London, when I was starting out, and even when I moved up here to Manchester. I mean, technically I do live in Greater Manchester now, but when I moved up, I was living in St Helens and I was working in Manchester. The biggest thing that held me back was not planning and winging it. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym this day, and then I wouldn't go, so I'd go the next day, and then I wouldn't really have a structure of how many times I'd go to the gym. I'd just fit it in as and when. I wouldn't plan how many days. It'd just be as random. Like, I go when I can. Like, or every day, which is just madness. Like, you don't need to go to the gym every single day. No wonder I was getting burnt out with it. No wonder I absolutely hated it. I only go 4 times, and I'm going to be prepping for a bodybuilding competition this year, and I only train 4 times a week. And I do a little bit of cardio. But obviously when I prep, I'm doing more, but you don't need to spend your life in the gym at all. Again, I'm a PT. I only train 4 days a week. There is no need for that. Most of the people who I work with train 3 times a week. There are very few people that train 4. There's some people that train 2 as well, but there's very few people that train more than that. And I don't have anyone on 5-6 days a week training. Like, there's absolutely no need for it at all, for results, for aesthetic results too. So yeah, I'd plan ahead, and what I do now is that I have my Google Calendar, just like I was telling you guys about, and I literally have like Monday, Tuesday I'm training, Wednesday rest day, Thursday training, Friday rest day, Saturday training, Sunday rest day. that's literally it. Now when I have my rest days, I might do cardio on those days and split it up. Again, depending on what's going on in my week. That I don't overly fit in because I only have 2 cardio sessions during the week. It's a piece of piss for me to get them in. When I am prepping and I have a lot more cardio, I will also plan those in, and again I'll set boundaries around those as well. Same with my food too, I also plan ahead. And this is like a piece of advice that I give to everyone on my coaching team, is plan your nutrition. So again, I literally just used to wing my nutrition. I used to, again, when I lived in London, I used to walk 20 minutes to Tesco. Even thinking of this, I'm just like, how the fuck did I do that? I'd get my weekly shop and put them all in little bags, and I'd carry these bags home because I didn't drive in London. I didn't know many people who did drive in London, but I carry these bags home. And I remember I had to like waddle for a certain amount, stop and give my hands a break, and then pick them up again, and then continue walking until I got home. And as I said, like, I just can't imagine doing that now, even with like pop and cordial and things like that. Like, it was so fucking heavy. That's probably why I had like a little bit of muscle mass before I even started doing bodybuilding training, because I used to do stupid shit like that. I mean, to be fair, I had no choice. I did actually think about getting like a little granny trolley and that to help me out, but I never did. I never got to the point where I bought one, so I'd always just like torture myself every weekend getting like my big food shop and walking home with it, and wondering why people used to give me like weird looks. But yeah, I just used to go to Tesco, go, oh, I fancy this, fancy this, fancy this, getting it all in, and I'd meal prep, and that's just because I don't like cooking, so I just felt it was easier to do it all in one go, shove it in the fridge freezer, and then get it out when I needed it. But in terms of planning my food, tracking it and things like that, I didn't do that. I literally just winged it and was like, oh, that's an okay portion size, when it was probably like double the amount that I needed. I'm not sure. I'd love to like just wing one of the meals that I had in at that point and just see how many calories it is. I'd probably be scared to do that. I'd probably like my bulking calorie food now. But yeah, I'd plan ahead, both in terms of like your nutrition plan, what you're going to be having for the week. Now that I track on MyFitnessPal, I track ahead, like the day before, this is what I'm going to be having. If I'm going out to eat, and again, I'm dieting, like now I'm not dieting, so I don't over need to. But in a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks, I won't be going out at all because I'll be on prep. But let's say if I was in a lifestyle cut myself, just like I was to photo shoot, and I was going out, I'd track that meal in ahead of the game in MyFitnessPal and planning what I'm doing. The next thing, which leads on very nicely to this, is setting boundaries. And this is something that I did a terrible job with when I first started out. So by setting boundaries, it's setting boundaries about the time that you're training. Like, this is when I am training. I'm going to leave work and I'm going to train. This is, as I said, like, it's something that I really struggle with because I struggled getting out of work at certain times. That was mainly just due to the place that I worked was quite like it just placed a lot of pressure on when we was leaving. I'm not going to say which company, like London or Manchester, but yeah, there was a company that I worked for that placed quite a lot of pressure in terms of when we was leaving, so we felt guilty about leaving, so we tended not to. But also in terms of like the work, the office culture, and like treats. And like, I remember that there was a radio, we had like a radio in the office, and it'd go like tea time, theme time, which I think is like still a thing now on that particular radio station. And when that went off, like, someone would get up and make the brews, coffees, etc. But then the Marks and Spencer's biscuits would get passed around, or whatever treat they had in the office would get passed around. And then it's like, it was almost like a pressure to have that biscuit or to have multiple, because it would go around and around the office until the packet of biscuits had gone. So there was that as well, as just like that setting boundaries of like, no, I'm not going to have that because I want to prioritise my health. Same with like going out to eat with friends. I wouldn't prioritise that, and people go like, oh, go on, you can treat yourself, this, that and the other, and I'd be like, oh right, okay. Again, setting boundaries like that I was pretty terrible at. Whereas now, when it is my time training, I almost like protect it, like it is my time, like no one is getting in the way of my time. I am protecting this, I am doing this, because me training is going to help me feel so much better, and it's going to help me show up better as a coach. Because let's be honest, no one wants a fucking burnt out coach, no one wants an exhausted coach, no one wants a coach who's not like on the ball and ready to go and ready to help. No one wants that. So again, by protecting that training time, protecting that time for myself, it's only going to help me show up better to help my clients too. But also, if I had that mindset when I was working my 9 to 5, 9 to 5. If you didn't see that, I was doing like little bunny ears. But if I had that mindset when I was working my 9 to 5, I would have struggled a lot less with anxiety, would have struggled a lot less with depression, and I also would have struggled a lot less with just burnout in general. Would have been a lot less burnt out, and I would have just been happier. I would have just generally just been happier by making that time for myself as well. And again, with nutrition, setting boundaries around nutrition would have helped me with the weight loss and physique goals that I had then. Yeah, just continue helping me towards my physique goals, but also again help me feel better, help me feel, perform and function the way that I wanted to show up into the world as well. So that's definitely what I would change now if I was to go back into the beginning, is like just stand my ground and do what aligns best with my goals and how I want to live my life as well. Right, which leads nicely on to the next one, which is tracking my food and being accurate with it as well. So as I was saying before, like when I very first started out when I lived in London, I did not track my food. I just guesstimated and kind of was like, oh, this is healthy, this is healthy. At the time when I lived in London, I was veggie as well, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just again, hold my hands up, I was an absolutely shit veggie. So I would eat all processed foods. I would try and get my protein from like chickpeas and lentils, which they do contain protein, but it's more carbohydrates than it is protein. I remember when I got my first coach, I was living off chickpeas, and I remember being like, oh yeah, I've been using chickpeas for protein, and she was just kind of like, what? Like they are not a protein source. And I was like, what? And it was like, yeah, it's a carb source. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, almost like my mind was blown open, like this is why I've been struggling so much. I've been eating fuck all protein. And again, that there's no research on this, by the way, so take this as a pinch of salt. But I remember when I started eating meat again and started eating, I didn't go fully into the deep end in terms of like eating meat. Now I am, but I remember I was slowly introducing meat back into my diet again. And I remember like I felt like I gained a lot of strength and a lot of muscle quite quickly. And in my head, I was like, I wonder if because I've been veggie so long and being a fucking shit veggie as well, not eating any fucking protein, now to having a shit ton of protein, is that the reason why I'm gaining muscle so fast? Because I was like, I'm sure I'm gaining muscle quicker than other people. Not to be like egotistical about it, but I was dead sure of it. And I was like, I'm wondering if that's just because I've gone from like eating no protein to now actually eating properly. My body's just like being a sponge about it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll never know. I don't really care anymore. But that was my little theory in my head when I was going through that process. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't used to track my food at all. I just used to guesstimate it and kind of go, oh, this is healthy and get it. But if you've ever seen some of my content before on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, what are you doing? It is Siobhan, spelled SIOBHAN body balance, all one word. So yeah, follow me on Instagram. There's also my Instagram handle in the comment section in the description box below as well, if you missed that too. So you can always like just follow me on Instagram. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably know that just because something's healthy doesn't mean it's necessarily low in calories and is going to help you towards your goal. Whereas that's what tracking food helps you. It helps you actually know how much you're eating and to make sure that you're in a calorie deficit as well. Whereas if you just kind of go, oh, that's healthy, that's a decent portion, and you're not weighing it, and again you're just eyeballing it. One, you don't know how much fucking protein you're eating, because at that point when I started out on my first coach with the chickpea saga, I wasn't tracking that food. I was following a meal plan, so it was like protein source, and I was like, oh, chickpeas are protein source, when they weren't. But if I was to track those chickpeas, I would have seen that I would have had fuck all protein and all the carbohydrates. So I would have learned naturally that way. But yeah, that's what I would change now, right at the very, very beginning of when I lived in London, is that I would track my food. And again, I would plan that in advance too. I plan like a little weekly meal plan. That would also help my food shop, so it means that I'm not having as much waste when I go to Tesco, which means that my packs will be lighter when I'm carrying them home as well. So that would have had a massive positive impact. Also, my food shop probably would have been a lot cheaper as well. So yeah, all positive impacts all around us there. But also what I would do was be accurate, because when I did start tracking my food, I was not accurate at all. There was a lot of licks, sips and bites that I would not track in because I didn't think I didn't think they counted. So an example that I used this week actually with one of my clients on check-ins is I had like a weird thing with Options hot chocolate because I am a chocolatey person. I love chocolate. I could not go through a dieting phase without having my diet chocolate. And I don't care how low my calories get. Like, if Kieran takes that chocolate off me, I will say something. Again, setting my boundaries because that chocolate keeps me sane. I am a chocolate person. I love it. My cream of rice on an evening is chocolate. Not now because I'm in a bulk and I'd rather. There's a few things that I'm doing right now to prepare me for prep to make sure that I don't overly get bored of food during that prep because I am going to be eating the same fucking foods for 6 months. So I'm trying to stay away from rice. I'm trying to stay away from my cream of rice. I'm trying to stay away from Greek yogurt. I'm trying to stay away from certain foods, which I know I'm going to eat them to death for 6 months. So I'm trying to like pull myself away from those. But yeah, I used to have this like weird thing with Options hot chocolate where I'd have like 4 of them in a day, but not track them in because I'd be like, oh, it's low calorie hot chocolate. I don't need to track it in. But it's about 50 calories per cup of that. So if I'm having 4 a day, that's 200 calories extra than what I'm having. And I'm wondering why I'm starving to death on 1,169 calories at the end of my very first cut when I wasn't on that at all. I was on 1,400 calories because of the Options hot chocolate and the other shit that I wasn't tracking accurately. So again, there was probably sauces that I wasn't tracking accurately, oils that I wasn't tracking accurately. Again, not weighing things properly, not scanning the right brands of things properly, having little tastes of things. I'm trying to think of other stuff as well. Probably fruit that I've not tracked in because it's fruit and it doesn't matter even though fruit contains calories. Oh, I've had this because it's just protein. Protein contains calories. My supplements, like, your omega-3s and stuff like that, all of that contains calories as well. Cordial that had sugar in contains calories. Energy drinks, even if they're low sugar energy drinks, they still contain 20 calories. And because at that point I was bloody hooked on energy drinks, again, if I'm having 4 of those a day, 2, 4, 6, 8, I'm shit at maths, so you don't know, that's 80 calories extra. So I was probably eating 1,600 calories, but only tracking 1,169 calories, when actually I wasn't eating that at all. I was eating a lot more than that. So this is why I'm always saying to people, make sure you're tracking accurately because no one needs beyond like 1,200 calories. Like there are some people, let's be honest, there are some people that do have to be on that, but most people, if you are on those calories and not losing weight, you are not on those calories. I can promise you that right now. There will be something that is going on that is not being tracked in. And 1, I know that from experience, and 2, I know that because now I've done my qualifications, I understand science, and because I've coached hundreds of women, I know, like, if you are average height, if you are following a training plan, actually following a training plan, and you're not a corpse, you're moving throughout the day, you will not plateau on 1,200 calories. Like, that is 100% not going to happen. Again, as I said to one of my clients this week, I told them my calories at the end of my photo shoot prep, given that I'm 5'1" and I ended my photo shoot prep on 48 kilograms. I told them my end calories and said, this is why I know you're not eating that amount of calories, because you'd be dizzy, you'd be starving, you wouldn't be in a healthy place if you was eating those calories. So it's that basically. So I'd be accurate, but I'd also track my food. Next thing on nutrition is I'd eat 80% whole foods. And what I mean by this is a thing that I'll say to my clients quite a lot is with nutrition, it's balanced at 80% whole foods and 20% soul foods. By soul foods, I mean like what people would usually deem as treats. So like your chocolates, your crisps, takeaway, more calorie dense food, sweets and stuff like that, nibbles. Sauces, processed food basically. 20% should come from that. And I say should come, it doesn't have to, it's not a rule, but I'd advise 20% whole foods, 80% whole foods, because obviously you want more whole foods in your diet, you want more foods that are fresh, foods that you've made yourself, and the 20% is your more convenience foods, again, your more calorie dense foods that helps keep you safe. Now, if you was a bodybuilder, if you was on prep, that'd be like more 95% whole foods, and then the other bit soul foods. But in terms of lifestyle dieting, that's when I go 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods. And the reason being is that when I first started out, pretty much all of my food was processed. I was trying to eat as low calories as possible on foods I quote unquote liked, which was like fun foods, just soul foods. Mine was kind of like more 40% whole foods and 60% soul foods. Now, there's nothing wrong, like there is like lack of nutrients and lack of proteins, etc. In terms of losing body fat, you will still lose body fat if you ate 100% soul foods and ate low calories. You would still lose body fat. You would still lose weight. However, one, you'd feel fucking shit. Two, you'd probably end up getting coughs, colds, and all sorts because you're not having as many nutrients. And the third, I am on 3, aren't I? Yeah. I was like looking at my fingers like, am I? I don't know. I might be on 4th. I don't know. I can't remember. But the third one is that you won't feel as full and you'll be making your diet harder for yourself. And this is because if you're having mostly whole foods, they are more filling, they are more satiating, and this is going to help you stick to a deficit for longer. Whereas it's very, very easy. Let's be honest. Let's say if you was on 2,000 calories, that's maybe your maintenance, 2,000 calories. That's 2 bars of dairy milk chocolate. Like, that is easy to do. Or a bar of dairy milk chocolate and a packet of biscuits. That's all processed foods. Like, you can lose weight by just eating those 2 things. Well, if your maintenance is above that, you can lose weight by eating those 2 things. Or you can eat the full packet of biscuits, be on 1,000 calories. Not that I'm promoting that at all. Please do not do that. This is just an example. You could eat a full packet of biscuits and that's all you eat throughout the day and lose body fat. However, like I said before, you'll feel shit. You'll get a load of coughs, colds, all that jazz because you're not having any micronutrients, not having any vitamins and minerals, and you just won't be full. Let's be honest, that packet of biscuits is going to be gone in 20-30 minutes, and then you've got to last the rest of the day without food being in that. Or you can have 3, 4, 5 meals a day at 1,000 calories and lose weight. Not that I'm promoting 1,000 calories. But you know what I mean? You can have a full day eating on that amount of calories if you're clever and you know what to do with nutrition. A lot of my clients are quite bamboozled when with the calories. Let's say it's like a client who's on like 1,400 calories and I give them like 5-6 meals to eat in a day and they're like, how have you done this when 3 meals and 2 snacks is usually that for me? And I'm like, I've been doing this for a while now. I'd be concerned if I couldn't make your food, like make that amount of calories the whole day and a lot of food as well. Like I'd be more concerned about that. But yeah, I can do that. I find that quite easy and that's something that I try and teach my clients to do as well. Again, just to help them through their dieting phase, because if you're having like, personally, I think 3 meals a day is not enough. It not annoys me, but I'm just kind of like, eat more food when someone comes to me and they're eating just 3 meals a day and I'm like, how? I eat 5 every day, sometimes I eat 6. I'm like, how are you surviving on 3 meals a day? But I don't overly snack much because I get more out of meals. But again, each their own. So yeah, I'd eat 80% whole foods again for satiety, health, to help performance in the gym, and yeah, just to keep you healthy and on all the micronutrients and all that fun stuff. Next thing is to resistance train and to actually follow a plan as well. So you know, like I was saying before, that when I very first started my journey, I'd waddle into Pure Gym, piss about, well, do cardio. I try and like get a 5k in terms of run. I don't know why I have this weird obsession with 5k, but I tried to get a 5k and I'd work up to get a 5k and then I'd fall off the wagon of the gym and then have to start all over again. But I do that, I go in, I do my cardio and then I play on the kit. Whereas now looking back at that, I'm like, girl, you missed so many gains, like the years of like extra muscle mass I could have if I followed a plan. But still, Ivy, we can only control what we do now. Like, now's the best time. Then, yeah, would have been better time, but this is the second best time. It's like that. Is it a metaphor or something, isn't it? Like, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's like, that's what I like to think. Like, yeah, I would be a fucking wellness fucking world champion if I started back then. But, second best time to start is now, isn't it? That's how I like to think. But yeah, I'd follow a resistance training plan because, as I said, I was going in, winging it. I had no idea what weights I was doing because I wasn't logging my weights anywhere. So I'd go in and be like, I think I was on this last week. I think I did this many reps last week. So I couldn't progressively overload, or I did, but naturally. So again, that's leaving progress on the table. So, and again, I had no control over my weights. I had no tempo. I wasn't training every muscle area of the body. I wasn't training hard. Like anytime, when it get tough, I just stop. I wouldn't fight through it. I wouldn't get close to failure. It was just a shit show. Like I could go in and just piss about, or I'd see someone at the gym doing something and I'd copy them. And again, that probably wasn't the best. I say probably, I know it wasn't the best for me and my physique. Or I'd go into the corner and just stretch. I'd actually love to go back to that pure gym, and just have like a walk around just for all times, but that's probably not going to happen again because I don't know when I'd find myself back at that tube station. Like even on Airbnb, I just can't imagine going back there. Maybe one day. Be a bit of a laugh. I don't even know if the Pure Gym is still open, to be fair. To be honest, it probably is because Pure Gym's got the money just to keep the rent. But it's probably expanded, if anything, and gone to like different floors and gone to like the next building and stuff like that. But yeah, it will be interesting to go in and have a little sniff around. And next one is don't be a wet wipe. So with me saying about like training and not going to failure, train hard. Like if I was starting again, I'd shout at myself and be like, girl, you can lift way more than that. I'd get myself on a big boy leg press because at that time I was scared I was only on machines. Like I wouldn't go on like the 45-degree leg press at all. I'd only ever be on cable leg press, like the one that looked safer to me. Again, I wouldn't do any free weights with like dumbbells, like dumbbell shoulder press or anything like that. I wouldn't do anything like that. It'd all just be like, the shoulder press machine or a chest press machine. Like I'd piss about on that stuff, or the machine, the cable row or the cable lat pull down. Like I wouldn't try anything free weight. I'd mince about on the like assisted lat pull down. I could barely do it. I think I was on the heaviest weight on there, but that obviously counteracts your weight, so it makes the easiest weight on there. And I remember like struggling on that as well. And yeah, I just watch what other people were doing and just like follow along, like, oh, that looks fun, I'll go on that next. So but yeah, anyway, so I wasn't training hard, so I wouldn't be a wet wipe. And the same with my nutrition as well. I remember whenever I felt hungry, I'd try and numb that hunger. I'd think it is like a wrong thing, like, oh no, I can't be hungry. And I got hungry, it's like, oh, I'm really hungry, I need to eat something. But it's like, no, again, I wish I could go back and tell baby Siobhan, hunger is a normal thing. Like it is okay to be hungry. Like if you're in maintenance, if you're in a surplus, I'm in a surplus right now and sometimes get hungry. It's okay to feel hunger, and it's okay as well when you're in a deficit and you're trying to be in a calorie deficit to be hungry, because it's a normal response for being in a calorie deficit. So own it, lean into it, even though it's uncomfortable. Remember that it's a good thing and it's only going to help you towards your goals as well. So yeah, don't be a wet wipe. And finally, work with a professional. Like as I said before, like my fitness journey skyrocketed and just, I wouldn't even say fast forwarded, it just, yeah, it skyrocketed as soon as I signed up with my very first coach. And that's because I did have a plan. I did have someone teaching me about nutrition. I did have someone holding me to a higher standard. So when I was being a wet wipe, I got told to not be a wet wipe and to hold myself to that higher standard. I had someone teach me like I need to set boundaries around what I am doing so I can fit my training, so I could sort my nutrition out. I'd get someone teaching me to plan ahead. I'd get someone to teach me all of these little tools that helped me on my journey. But I made a lot of the mistakes before I did that. And I would have continued making these mistakes if I didn't work with a professional. Now, I am going to do a shameless plug. I have got space available for one-to-one online coaching. I do not have any spaces for one-to-one PT at the moment, but if you want to be put on the wait list for one-to-one PT, then move over to one-to-one PT once a space has become available. I am more than happy to do so. Obviously, part of my online coaching, if you are local, we'll do a plan run through with you to make sure that you're comfortable with all of the exercises, and also with form as well, to make sure form's a good place too. But obviously, if you're not local, then all the training videos in the world, please, just so I can make sure that everything is done to a good standard. But yeah, I do have space available for one-to-one online coaching if you are interested. Again, my Instagram is in the description box below. Just shoot me over a message and then we can chat about your goals and if I'm the best person to help you, which obviously I hope to be. If I'm not, I will refer you to someone who I know will be, if you're out of my scope of practice. But yeah, shoot me a message and we'll have a chat and I'll put you on the right path, whether that's with me or with someone else who I think will fit you and your goals better. But yeah, 100% I would recommend working with a professional because it'll just save you so much time, so many years, it'll save you from making so many mistakes as well, which I have done. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, it was just, I wouldn't call it wasted potential, but potential left on the table, which I'm now trying to claw back. So yeah, like if you have the ability to do so, 100% work with a professional. Make sure that coach has got good results. Make sure they've been in the industry a while. I wouldn't go with the cheapest coach. I know you're probably like, oh, you're just saying that, but I wouldn't, because honestly, the cheapest coach kind of says something about the coach. So I wouldn't just go with the cheapest coach. I also don't think there's a need to go for anyone above like 200, 250 as well. I know there's some online coaches charging fucking ridiculous prices right now. Fair enough for one-to-one PT, but in terms of online coaching, at the time this podcast is being recorded, I don't think there's a need to really have ridiculous prices for online coaching, especially if you're a lifestyle client as well. Fair enough, if you're a competitor, that makes more sense. But in terms of lifestyle coaching, there's no need for it, specialist or not. A good coach, regardless of specialism, should be able to help you as a lifestyle client get to where you want to be as well. And if they don't have the ability to do so, that makes me question them as a coach. But yeah, 100% work with a professional. Make sure it's someone who's worth the salt as well, who knows what they're talking about, and that you like at the end of the day, like, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with them, you're going to be opening up with them, you're probably going to be getting on one-to-one calls with them. So make sure it's someone that you can relate to, that is nice, that knows the salt, does the do as well, so they actually practice what they preach. I'd definitely look into that as well. But yeah, 100%, it'll save you so much more time, and the tools that you will learn from a good coach will be with you for life as well. So it's not just the investment of that time of how long you're with that coach. Remember that you're also going to be having and taking that education that you're learning with them, taking it on board with you for the rest of your life, and potentially passing that on to your loved ones, to any kids that you potentially have in the future, family members. It doesn't just end with you. And I can be proof and pudding with that, because obviously I invested in a coach. I obviously learned a lot. I competed, then became a PT. Well, actually became a PT before I competed, but I only started working as a PT after I competed. Well, at the very last part of my prep, so after my prep, and that's when I started like physically working as a PT. I did a little bit of online coach before then, and then went into PTing. And now the education that I've learned from that coach, from other coaches as well, because I since moved on to coaches that I felt was more educated for what I wanted. I moved on, and from every single coach I've learned more and more and more, and just from my own experience I have learned more and more and more, and I've been able to pass on that, yes, to my loved ones, hopefully kids if I'm able to have them in the future, and my clients. So I've been able to pass on that knowledge just from that initial investment, and it's just become a domino effect from there. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it, and I'm not just saying that for a shameless plug. I would, because honestly it changed my life. It's changed so many more people's lives as well, people that I know, my clients as well, people who told me I've changed their life, which is just mad. But it changed my life, and like, if you invest in a good coach, it will change yours as well. So ending my spiel, I know it's been a long one today, but thank you so much for listening as usual. If you can, please do me a solid favour, because it'll help this podcast reach more people and ultimately help me help more people, which is the point of this podcast. Please comment, like, subscribe, interact with this podcast. As I said, it'll just help spread the reach on this. It'll help get it to more, like, a bigger audience, which will just help me help more people, which is the whole point of this. So if you can do that, I'd be very, very grateful. But other than that, have the most amazing morning, evening, afternoon, and I will catch you on the next one.